When Walt Disney started making animated movies way back in the 1920s, you had to go to a theater to see them. But these days, you can watch a timeless Disney classic like The Incredibles on your television, on your laptop, or even on your phone. What's more, you can pause, rewind, or fast forward at will, meaning Disney and Pixar obsessives can pore over their movie and pay attention to it in every detail. That's why the folks at the Mouse House have started leaving hidden details and Easter eggs for fans to spot. You might not be able to catch them on first viewing, but if you watch these movies with a remote in your hand and pause whenever you see something familiar, you'll probably catch a few of these details yourself. Here are the 10 most paused Disney moments. Remember, if you want to see more lists like this, subscribe to our channel and make sure to join our notification squad. But before we start, try your hand at our emoji challenge. Stay tuned for the answer at the end of our video. And hey, you don't want to anger the gods, do you? So stay tuned for the end of this video for some epic news about Vikings War of Clans. Sid's cameo in Toy Story 3. We all remember the horrible Sid from Pixar's Toy Story. When Woody and Buzz get stuck in a crane game, they're eventually won by Sid Phillips, the awful child who lives next door to Andy. Sid is distinguishable by his black skull t-shirt, his braces, and his very cruel nature. Obviously not the most social human being, his bedroom is a dirty cesspool of junk. Worst of all, Sid has been experimenting with his toys and those of his sister, ripping them apart and putting them back together in weird and disturbing ways, like the baby doll head on top of the mechanical spider or the fishing hook on top of a pair of Barbie legs. Fortunately, Woody and Buzz are able to escape before they're turned into an experiment themselves, but Sid still makes a return in the franchise, as a music-loving garbage man who takes Andy's toys to the dump while Woody tries to save them. You can tell it's him by his trademark Black Skull t-shirt. What do you think led Sid to this profession? Let us know your theories in the comments.
When life gets you down, you know what you gotta do?
I don't want to know what you gotta do.
Just keep swimming, just keep swimming, just keep swimming.
Mr. Incredible comic book in Finding Nemo. Pixar is known for stuffing their movies full of cameos and Easter eggs, sometimes from movies that haven't even been released yet. Some fans call these prediction eggs, and it's not uncommon for them to look through their old DVDs and Blu-rays to look for these years later. For example, check out Finding Nemo, released a year before The Incredibles. In the waiting room for the dentist's office, where the dentist is planning to give Nemo to the awful Darla, Pixar sure has a penchant for creating awful child characters, don't they? You can see a small boy reading a comic book. If you pause the movie and look closely, you can see that it's actually a Mr. Incredible comic, about the square-jawed, superpowered hero from the Pixar movie that would come out a year later. Have you noticed any other prediction eggs in Pixar movies lately? There might even be a few more on this list.
And he sticks the landing.
Sven the Reindeer in Moana. Frozen is one of the most popular Disney films to come out in recent years, thanks to a catchy soundtrack and a bevy of colorful, likable characters. But people maybe don't give Sven the Reindeer enough credit for making the movie so darn likable. Maybe that's why Disney decided to give Sven a cameo in their more recent picture, Moana. He appears right after Maui retrieves his magical fishhook from the cave of Tamatoa. The fishhook grants Maui the power to transform into whatever creature he desires. But being a little out of practice, Maui has trouble transforming into a giant hawk and ends up rotating through a variety of far less threatening creatures. If you pause the movie for a moment, you can even see him take on the shape of Sven the Reindeer for a split second. As likable as Sven might be, he's probably not the right shape to take on the giant monster coconut crab that is Tamatoa.
Who's that beside her? Who is it?
Wow, you're one hot dancer, Benjamin Clawhauser.
Bootleg DVDs in Zootopia. When it was released in 2016, Zootopia impressed audiences with its satirization of modern life. The town of Zootopia was just like a modern metropolis, but instead of being populated by humans, it was populated by millions of animals, all of whom were slightly different but still essential parts of the animal society. And just like a human city, not every part of the economy was completely above board, legally speaking. In one scene, Judy Hopps and Nick Wilde interrogate Duke Weaselton, a weasel known on the streets for selling bootleg DVDs. If you pause your Blu-ray for a quick moment, you can catch a quick glimpse of some of the movies for sale, all of which are animal-related parodies of actual Disney films, like Wreck-It Rhino, Pig Hero 6, or Meowana. What kind of animal do you think Walt Disney would be? Perhaps a dog named Woof Disney? Who could say for sure? Darla photo in Finding Dory. Just like Sid made a cameo in Toy Story 3 15 years after his appearance in the original Toy Story, the brace-faced Darla from Finding Nemo also makes a cameo in Finding Dory 13 years after her first appearance. When Dory is stuck in her empty tank at the quarantine center, she anxiously swims around, revealing a photograph of a familiar face pasted to the wall behind her. That face is Darla's, and it's the same photograph that sat beside the tank in the dentist's office in the original Finding Nemo. Now, the quarantine tank is in California, whereas the dentist's office from the original was located in Sydney, Australia. How likely is it that there are friends or relatives of Darla in both locations? Let us know if you have any theories on the matter. We're dying to hear them. Pixar memories in Inside Out. Pixar's Inside Out is a wonderful case study on the bittersweet nature of memory. We're blessed to have nice memories, but they also come with the knowledge that we can never recapture them, no matter how hard we try. This goes for the Pixar team, just as it does for Riley. And inside the various memory orbs in Riley's mind, there are images of all the stories that have appeared in Pixar movies past. One of those memories is the scene of Carl and Ellie's wedding from the opening scenes of Up. If you look closely and pause at just the right moment, you can also catch a glimpse of the Sunnyside Daycare Center's playground from Toy Story 3. For fans of Pixar who have grown up with these movies, it's a bittersweet experience to be reminded of our first time watching them. But thankfully, with movies, we can also plug in the Blu-ray and see it again. Candies from Sugar Rush in Frozen. Given that it's set in a Scandinavia-esque fantasy land, and that it sticks pretty closely to the classic Disney princess formula, you might think the makers of Frozen would have shied away from stocking their movie full of Easter egg moments, but that simply is not the case. The makers of Frozen found plenty of space to reference Disney movies from the past. One of the most obvious is a reference to the fictional Sugar Rush video game from Wreck-It Ralph. When Elsa turns 21 and invites dignitaries from across the land to a celebration at her palace, we can see a plate of candies on one of the tables. Those candies are the same kind that Ralph has to deal with on his adventures in the arcade. How do you think these movies connect? Did the makers of Sugar Rush in the Wreck-It Ralph universe design their candies based on traditional Arendelle recipes? You be the judge.
She replaced us. Come on.
No, she only replaced you.
She replaced all of us, didn't she?
Lots-O Huggin Bear in Up. Hey, we did say we would return to the idea of the prediction egg in Pixar movies. It takes a long time and a lot of hard work to make an animated movie, so the animators are often finished with their character designs years before a movie is completed. That's why Lots-O Huggin Bear, the menacing villain from Toy Story 3, can be seen in a single shot from Pixar's Up. As Carl lets his balloons off into the sky and flies his house away from the city, we see the balloons rising into the sky from out the window of a young girl's bedroom. And if you pause the film at just the right moment, you can see Lots-O Huggin Bear in her bedroom, sitting right beside her bed. Up was released a year before Toy Story 3, but perhaps that bear got sent to Sunnyside Daycare Center not long after Carl took to the skies.
Excuse me while I let out some air.
Han's poster in Big Hero 6. Big Hero 6 was the first big thing to result from the sale of Marvel to Disney, and the first film to really merge their respective brands in an interesting way. Though comic books, including the Big Hero 6 series that the film is based on, are no stranger to Easter eggs and insider references, one of the more obvious hidden details of Big Hero 6 is the inclusion of wanted posters for Frozen's Prince Hans. For those not in the know, Prince Hans swept Princess Anna off her feet, but it was all a ploy as the dastardly Han sought to seize the throne of Arendelle. Still, it's a little weird that he's wanted when they also have a statue of the prince in San Fran, Tokyo. Perhaps he's become an international fugitive in the meantime. What do you think?
Let go of your brother!
No.
Emeryville road names in The Incredibles. As with every other Pixar movie, The Incredibles is chock full of references and Easter eggs, even if it is the only Pixar movie not to include a cameo from the Pizza Planet truck that made its debut in Toy Story. In addition to referencing other Pixar movies, the folks at Pixar like to reference aspects of their own origin, like the use of A113, a recurring number in Pixar movies that refers to a classroom at the California Institute of Arts where many Pixar animators learn the tools of the trade. In The Incredibles, a computer screen shows a map of various streets, ostensibly in the city where the Incredibles reside. But instead of referencing Gotham or Metropolis, those streets are pulled from a map of Emeryville, California, where the Pixar Animation Studio is located. But wait a second, about that news. Have you been in the mood to do some raiding lately? Perhaps form a shield wall or something? Well then look no further, as Vikings War of Clans is here to answer that call. 5 minutes into the game and you too will become addicted, just like the 3 million players and counting who have joined the clan. Seriously, this game is pretty addicting. Plus, it harkens back to the old top-notch strategy games of the 90s and 2000s, except now you can play it on your mobile device with modern 3D graphics, which is a definite win. Plus, it's Viking themed, which puts it in a league of its own compared to its competitors on the App Store. So grab your axe and join the millions of players from around the world in this game's famous and epic battles featuring clans from all over the globe. We recently did some raiding of our own and brought back some riches, and we're going to share them with you. Download the game from the link below and you'll get 200 gold to start you on your conquest. Well, what are you waiting for? Do it already! Well, that's our list for the day, but you're probably wondering the answer to our emoji challenge. Which of these hidden details and Easter eggs are you going to pause on the next time you watch a Disney movie? Do you think there are more out there? Maybe let us know what we missed in the comments. That's all for this list, but be sure to subscribe to the Screen Rant channel and sign up for the notification squad. Thanks for watching.